achieving sustainable development, and I did run the British government program for some years, and last, protecting human rights. Yet in wider terms, things remain incomplete, if not messy, with a wide range of overlap, omission, and variation in effectiveness. There is, for example, no World Environment Organization to bring together the many limited agreements on the environment on specific aspects in specific areas. Nor is there an international court for the environment to deal with the more legal aspects of the problem, as recommended by many in the legal profession. And this has led to a widespread failure to recognize the relevance of human rights in dealing with environmental issues. If we are to manage or cope with the damage now being done, we have to think as well as to act differently. We live in a consumer society with deep-seated beliefs in endless resources and limitless capacities of technology. We still fail to bring externalities into the calculations and to establish true costs, which are highly relevant to human rights. There are continuing efforts to establish better systems of management and measurement, ranging from the Human Development Index to the work of the New Economics Foundation. But ladies and gentlemen, we have a very long way to go. The focus of the International Declaration of Human Rights and the International Bar Association's Human Rights Institute, and indeed the Mary Robinson Foundation, is primarily in different ways on the rights of individuals for equity within the rule of law. The responsibility of governments in respect of human rights is well brought out within that framework. What is mostly missing is the relationship with human-driven change to the environment generally, and in particular over the distribution of responsibility for corrective action and how it should be delivered. When we consider the continuing difficulties in reaching agreement between governments on climate change, in particular over limiting carbon emissions in the atmosphere, the prospects of achieving any global consensus, let alone a treaty, attributing responsibilities for what has happened and what will happen, and then assessing true costs, seems pretty remote. Even more remote is the prospect of financing any kind of compensation to those whose human rights may have been affected by the complex factors which constitute the Anthropocene. My own view is that as we seem unlikely to solve these problems as they are, at least for the moment, we have to begin by adopting a partial approach. In doing so, perhaps the main point of departure is identification of the interest of each country concerned, the interest meaning the national economic interest. In doing so, we should pursue what has been called plurality of agreements. In other words, the industrial countries should work out among themselves how to assess their own environmental impacts and costs and decide first on a national basis and then among themselves what should be done about them. Inevitably, this would cover policies towards other countries and such issues as